forward to this very exciting episode. And today I am joined by the amazing Susannah from SJMS Osteopathy and For the Good of the Horse. And I invited Susannah on to talk to us because I really love how she has got so much energy for her business, how she's, especially in the last couple of weeks, it's been testing times, hasn't it, Susannah? Tell everybody what you do and how you do.
It's really nice to be here and nice to be interviewed for once, as opposed to doing the interviewing as I tend to do. Yeah, what do I do? I am primarily a human and equine osteopath, so working with people and with horses, and then I do a few other little bits on the side which gets a bit confusing. So I'm the equine instructor for Rock Tape, go around the country lecturing for them, teaching people how to stick kinesiology tape on ponies and how to use it for riders. I also have set up a networking group called For the Good of the Horse to try and bring us equine professionals together a little bit more, working together as opposed to not really knowing each other, and trying to eliminate some of the bitchiness that can happen in the equine world. And then I do some other things like some pre and postnatal coaching and programming. So I do quite a lot of stuff, but primarily, first and foremost, I'm an osteopath.
And what got you into being an osteopath? What was your story there?
So I always wanted to work with horses. That was always a given. They're my passion. I've got two, they're my babies. And it was always a joke when I was younger that I was like the family vet. I was always fixing a lame animal or even burying a dead guinea pig, which I know sounds bizarre, but I was always the one that was looking after the ill or sorting them out of their last respects or what have you. And I didn't have the right. I am actually going to blame my teachers at A-level. I had a horrendous physics teacher who basically pushed me to the point that I left that A-level because he was just the epitome of a really bad teacher. So I didn't quite have the A-level subjects to qualify to be a vet, so I was like, hey, what's the next best thing? And being 17, 18 at the time, you try and take the easy route, don't you? I think possibly knowing what I know now, I might have done slightly differently, although maybe not actually, because I do love what I do. So I looked into physio and manual therapies and chose osteopathy as the one to go for. I did my 4 years human training at the British School of Osteopathy in London, and then did a conversion course with the Osteopathic Centre for Animals in Wantage once I qualified. And I've been treating horses and people ever since.
When you sort of say about that, the A-levels, I had a terrible A-level situation as well. I did A-level biology, and my teacher just did not, he was the only teacher in the whole wide world that didn't like me, I swear, and I had to make complaints and all sorts, and I got a big fat U, so I totally feel you on that. Because when you've got
sorry, go on.
No, I'm just saying, when you've got the right people inspiring you and believing in you, you can make such a big difference, can't you?
Yeah, it really does. I mean, two of my sisters are teachers and two of my nieces are teachers, and I'm hoping that they will never do to any child what this physics teacher did to me, because my career could have been completely different. But in a way, maybe he did me a favour. Sometimes out of the things that we think are the worst for us, the best things happen, and I definitely think that possibly has led to where I am today. But well, it did. So I'm not a vet, and I do really love what I do. I don't have to deal with blood or shooting them, so that's great.
Yeah, I suppose there's a lot of perks to doing what you're doing compared to being a vet as well. So, like I know, like one of the ethoses that you've talked to me about when we've sort of spoken before is that you're really passionate about bringing equestrian professionals together, and in a way the way we can support each other as well, very much like me. So, and that's why you started For the Good of the Horse. Tell everybody a bit more about that.
So I started For the Good of the Horse because, firstly, I get asked as a therapist a lot, can you recommend a saddler? Can you recommend a farrier? Do you know someone who is good with these supplements? I'd like to have my horse's photo taken. Do you know anyone? Like animal communicators, I get asked about all sorts. And unless I've met these people and seen them work, I don't really want to be recommending people. And then I thought, well, why is that? And I guess it's just the unknown. So the best way to kind of overcome that was to meet these people and know them. And also, it's really nice to have I really wanted to have a bit more of a support network, and I googled networking, and a lot of it was like, come and meet us in an office. And I thought, can't imagine how many office workers in Colchester are going to be interested in me rubbing their horses, considering half of them probably won't have one. And there just wasn't really anything that I could find where you could physically meet up. This is obviously before COVID, but where you could actually meet up and like shake hands with these people and hear them talk. And it wasn't just behind a screen, and really kind of get to know people. And the other thing that I really wanted as well is for the public to be able to meet their professionals as well. Because I think that's quite important too, because you can meet someone for the first time as they come to treat your horse, fit your saddle, and you could just not gel. And that makes a massive difference. I mean, people ask me all the time, what's the difference between a physio, chiropractor and osteopath? And I just sort of go, it doesn't really matter. We're all in it for the same thing. We want your horse to move better, want you to feel and move better. But if you don't gel with the person that you're dealing with, you're unlikely to A, respect what they say, and B, get any results. So wanting to bring professionals together so that we could meet, so that we could recommend each other working together as opposed to in competition all the time, but also so that the public can meet us as well and make a bit of a educated opinion before they book XYZ, and picking the right person for them, because it's such a minefield. I mean, if you look on, I don't know, Facebook, Essex Horse Riders, for example, Joe Blogs goes on and goes, can someone recommend someone to come do my horse's back? Well, I mean, the fact that the industry is saturated at the moment with back people, inverted commas, and you get these long lists of names, and unless like your best friend has recommended one, it can be really daunting. It's like, where do you start with, who do you pick? Yeah. So the aim is to set up something that makes it a little bit clearer, where people can kind of see, hopefully after lockdown, when we're all allowed out again, we can all meet up and have cake and sandwiches, and you can listen to the professionals talk about what they do, get a feel for their kind of niches, because we all have our own spin on things, and we all have our own little niches that we offer, and work out what's best for you, best for your horse, and create a relationship from the get-go, as opposed to kind of delving into the darkness and hoping you get a good one.
Yeah, which again, I think sometimes they do, and that's when then people then start to get confused or start to negatively talk about a practitioner, and it's not really their fault. It's just the people that they went to weren't prepared for what they were going to do, and they didn't know what they were going to expect, and it's a very tricky situation, isn't it, I guess?
Oh yeah, completely. And us professionals, and I have been guilty of it too when I've jumped on the bandwagon, we have been awful in the past at bad mouthing people that we don't even know, and that really does have to stop, because at the end of the day we all have the same goal, which is to have happy, healthy horses, happy, healthy owners, make a little bit of money at the same time. And there are definitely those who are much more money orientated than I am. I don't think I'm ever going to be a millionaire, because I'm just too nice to people, but I just want it to be a nicer place instead of backstabbing and bitching.
Absolutely. And the thing is, there is a lot of nice people in the equestrian industry, and I think that's half it. We need to stand up and show that we're here. This is what we're doing, because a lot of nice equestrian business owners are too frightened to be visible and too frightened to do all of that stuff. So that's kind of like where I come in, and where you can come in. And I know we spoke about the possibility of doing something with the Equestrian Business Support Network and for the good of the horse at some point, because I've got a really big network who are forever pressing me to put together a proper meetup for like the weekend. I'm like, where's it? I know Susannah will help me with that.
I would love to do it. Just give me a weekend and I'll plan the whole thing.
We'll have a proper equestrian business. People joining. Although be very disappointing for my clients in Australia. I'm really sorry if you're watching. You probably won't want to fly over
to Australia, Jenny. I'm sure we can make it happen.
Maybe we can video call. We can do lots of different things. But so one of the other things that you said you do is like rock taping, and doing like I can never say the word kinesiology. Kinesiology taping. I always read it and forget how to pronounce it. But I've seen it done with humans. And how much is that done with horses here?
It's a growing thing. I mean, I love it. I don't use it on all my clients, but I use it on a vast majority. In fact, I taped a little mare today on her pole area. It really depends on what's wrong with the horse, obviously, all the individual differences, what have you. But I love it because it's a really easy thing for therapists to teach owners to do as well. And it's like a coping mechanism for owners. They can feel like they're doing something without doing anything that's going to cause any harm. Not that owners would ever
intentionally harm their horse,
but it's you know, you can use it for so many things, whether it's to correct the rider's posture, which in turn is going to help you and the horse gel better and move better, so affecting your whole biomechanics as a whole just by tweaking the rider. We can use it for pain relief for horses. We can use it for proprioception for horses to help them encourage to use their back end and to make them realise they've got 4 legs instead of 3. And it's just, wow, it's just a really nice tool for any therapist, I think, or coach even for that matter, to have in their toolbox, really. So, and why not I think is the answer to that as well.
And what's the favourite thing about like what you do? What is your favourite part of it?
The favourite thing, my favourite thing, just playing with ponies.
Okay.
It's got to be that, and the results that I get, not just for ponies but for people as well, like seeing people improve, get healthier, move better, go back to their sport, seeing horses go out competing again, or even if the aim is just to get them out for a hack again. Like, it doesn't matter to me whether you're a top star dressage rider or whether you literally like to brush your pony. just seeing people be able to do the things that they want to do, both themselves and their horses, it's just so rewarding when it all comes together. Yeah. It's really nice.
And so during lockdown, of course, you haven't been able to. There was back to work now, luckily enough. But there was a moment where you couldn't get out and do stuff, and you were doing some things online, weren't you? Like you had little challenges and other things.
Yeah, I had lots of challenges. I set myself a challenge. So I think I spent the first 2 weeks of lockdown an alcoholic mess, and decided that I need to sort myself out. So I took on a challenge that a friend ran for me, which was pretty hardcore, and you have to be pretty into your fitness to want to have done it. And I sort of thought, this is great for lockdown while I'm doing nothing else. I've got time to do 2 45-minute workouts a day and fit in 10,000 steps and drink 4 litres of water and all the other stuff he had us doing. But I wanted to create something that everyone could achieve, could strive to achieve towards, like your everyday person. Not someone who's wrapped up in the fitness industry or works in a gym, but someone who could do stuff at home. Anyone who wants to get out of the lockdown funk, as we both termed it. But also people who just want to promote their health. And I think the health industry is a big one, especially wellness, but a lot of people are so overwhelmed by it, they just don't know where to start. And education really is key. I mean, knowing doesn't necessarily mean you'll end up doing it, but it's a good place to start, and it will put you into that kind of contemplation phase to action. So I created the 473 Wellness Challenge, which we ran for May. I had about 50 people on the group. Obviously, not everyone always participates, but people were watching. So I like to think I planted some seeds in 53 minds. But we had 7 daily tasks. So it's 4 weeks, 7 daily tasks, 3 weekly tasks that were all, I felt, achievable. Some of them challenging, but achievable, which was the idea. Yeah. And there was no pressure. If you didn't achieve it, it wasn't the end of the world. You just added a day on the end. I'm not an ogre. And I had like all sorts of people on there, men, women, pregnant ladies. I had new mums on there, people with injury, ladies with illness that we tweaked the rules for a little bit. And the community we've built, I love a community, is really, really lovely. And we're actually running it again in June, which is now, because it does take up a lot of my time, because I provide workouts for the members, I provide mobility routines to the members, nutritional advice, all sorts of stuff about wellness. But I've had to charge for June because I need to justify spending all the time on it. But people have lapped it up. I can't believe it. I've gone, yeah, we're going to do it again. I've loved it. It's been so good. And I've had some new people who've been inspired by it as well. So that's basically what I did in lockdown. I started off just doing me blogging every day for 30 days. Don't do that, guys. It's That's really tiring. One blog a week is fine, even if you've got all the time in the world. But yeah, it's turned into something really good. So I'm really looking forward to June now.
That's awesome, and hopefully it's something you can keep doing like throughout the year, and like especially in like when we get into winter and people aren't outside as much, they probably need something like that to keep them going.
And I've already started thinking about what I'm going to do in the winter, because I was thinking, because obviously I'm doing the challenge with everyone, so 10,000 steps a day. If I'm not at the horses, can take me quite a long time to get. So I'm up at 6 walking the dogs. Well, you can't do that in December because it's dark and scary, and I don't like the dark, and it rains.
It's quite hard doing 10,000 steps. I must admit, I am very bad. I've done 3,700 today, and that was with me standing and jogging while I watered the garden. So desperation. I've just worked so much today.
It's for someone like yourself who sits at a desk because you have to for your work. We will probably tweak it and start you off at 5,000. Like, that is your goal, you have to hit it. And I think that the thing for most people is that when they achieve their goals, it gives them a real boost and they want to do more. And suddenly Laura Fidderman, the photographer, has been out for a walk today to see if she can get her 10,000 steps. She tagged me in her Instagram live. It's brilliant. I loved it.
Brilliant.
So it's just I do tweak things. I've got a new mum who's doing it in June, and she doesn't really move at all because she's a new mum with a grizzly baby and worries about it. So I've worked out her rough daily steps now, and we've just increased it a little bit, so she's got a target, but nothing too overwhelming, because if you make it too overwhelming, you won't do it. People will just give it the first hurdle. I can't do this, can't do this, can't do this.
Yeah,
so it is tweakable. You don't have to do as it says.
It's so important to have goals and that you can actually achieve, and not beat yourself up when you fail, because it's part of it. Sometimes we're not always going to be able to. Like, I've been doing really well with my fitness. Every morning I get up and I have my little routine in the morning, but then I stubbed my toe last week. Well, I didn't stub it, I got something ridiculous on it. Well, I couldn't walk all last week, let alone do any exercise, and I've only started again this week, and even then some of the things I'm like, I just can't do it, my toe still hurts. You just have to not beat yourself up on those days when you can't do what you wanted to do, don't you?
Exactly. And it's not a failure if you learn from it. That's really important. I think the word fail should be eradicated from the human dictionary, English dictionary, because it's so negative. And as long as you take something from that, so if you don't get your 10,000 steps, like when I'm working, bizarrely, I do virtually no steps, because I'm either in the car or standing next to a horse. So then I'm like, well, I just need to learn that on the days that I'm working, the dog walk has to be a priority. I've got to find time to take the girls out. Or to go for a run. And because lockdown done me loads of massive favours. It's really sorted out my work-life balance, and I'm struggling to keep hold of that with work now.
That's the damage, isn't it? Yeah.
Oh God, it's so hard. But it's made me plan a bit more. So I'm now planning my days, and I need to not be stressed about working out, going for a walk, drinking water. They're things that are really important to me and my health, and I can't work at full functioning, firing of all cylinders if I'm not healthy. So actually they do have to come first. And like, I have to put myself first and learn to say no to people. So if anyone's watching and wants to book an equine osteopathy appointment, because I'm only treating horses at the moment, I'm currently taking bookings for the end of the 3rd week of June. So get them booked in soon, because you could be waiting till July.
Which goes to like, so whereabouts do you work? Tell me the sort of like whereabouts you are based with your business.
I live near Stowmarket. My horses are near Stansted, so I cover a really big area. So I kind of go out to Bishop Stortford, all the way east, and I stop at the sea, so Harwich, Frinton, Clacton, all that area. I have been known to travel down to Enfield, and I will go up to Cambridge. If you are anywhere along my little anywhere in my triangle area, from Stowmarket to Colchester to Stansted, it's currently £50 per horse. Things that are outside of it, depending on how far I've got to travel, there might be a bit more of a travel charge, but it really depends on, like, you have to be quite a long way away for me to put your prices up.
And so what would you say has been like the hardest part of running your business since you started? When did you start your business?
So when I graduated uni, I was very fortunate to be employed by a really brilliant multidisciplinary practice near Colchester. And I was there for 6-7 years, thrown in at the deep end, took over another osteopath list, and we had an NHS contract, and we worked like people on a conveyor belt. I think 18 people a day, sometimes one in, one out straight away. It was really, really good for learning and for me just getting hands-on with people, but pretty hectic. And the learning stopped at a point because we were so busy. And then, I might as well be honest, I had a bit of a falling out with the reception staff, funnily enough. One of those classic things of mixing business with pleasure and thinking friends are friends, and doesn't really work that well. So it ended up with me handing in my notice. And it seemed like an absolute disaster at the time. My husband was like, what are you doing? Don't do it. Your father will never agree. And my dad went, this is the best thing you've thought of doing since you graduated. So I was like, I have my notice. My dad said it's okay. And I remember waking up the first day when I wasn't working for them, and I took my dog Maple, was the only one we had at the time, for a walk, and just being like, this isn't half bad being self-employed, working on your own. But then of course it was a case of, well, I need people to know that I'm still working. And I was really fortunate enough to have some fantastic clients from that practice who followed me basically wherever I went. So they kept me going. But the other thing that was really nice is I suddenly had time to see equine clients. So I was seeing them anyway, but I'd have 2 half days a week in which to treat horses. And then suddenly I've got, 7 days a week to fit them in. And it all just kind of built from there, really. And as a lot of things, especially equine wise, word of mouth is invaluable.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, I Instagram and I Facebook, and I'm constantly putting stuff on social media. I go live every day, but really word of mouth is really important. So, and you just have to wait for the break sometimes.
Yeah. And I guess with what you do, because you're sort of a reasonable sort of local area, and you can only deal with one horse at a time, so you can only have so many. So it's not like you need ridiculous amount of clients, is it? I guess I am in a small area, and and there's only so many I can do in a day. It's exhausting. Yeah.
They're big creatures. I move them around quite a lot. You need to be quite physically fit to do it, really. But it really was. I think when I first started, I spent loads of money on leaflets, loads of money on business cards. To this day, and I've been practicing since 2009, I have had 2 clients call me off a leaflet. 2. Now, this week I have seen 1, 2, 3. I think I've seen 25 horses this week, and not one of them came from a leaflet. So I think it's maybe times have changed. That was quite a while ago now. Social media is so much at the forefront of what we do advertising wise, and everyone's on it, aren't they now? Yeah. But yeah, that's kind of how it grew. You just wait, and back then it was a case of waiting. Getting the break from the people that you saw, and it helped that I was treating people as well, because those people with horses, then I got to see their horses, and then it spread. You get in with one pony club, mum, you get them all.
Oh, don't you just the pony club are brilliant for that.
They are really good.
Yeah. And it's so, like, what do you find sort of challenging now, like with running your business? I mean, you mentioned that you've sort of got a balance in work life a bit through lockdown. Yeah. Has that been an issue in the past?
Oh, massively, to the point where, I mean, I'm a great people pleaser in work and in play. So I like to try and see all my friends all the time, get as many clients as possible. I never say no to anyone. Yes, I'll come to you at 8:30 at night in the wind and the cold and the rain. Don't worry about it. Doesn't matter that I'm 2 hours away when I finish with the client before you, but it's fine. I'll just come over. And that has got to stop, because because of where I live and where my human practices are, Colchester and Great Bardfield. I just spent my life driving, and you know, it would be quite normal for me to leave the house at 5:30, 5:45, and not get home till 9, which, you know, a lot of people do. I'm not saying that I'm the only person for me, blah blah, but actually I don't need to do that. And it's just exhausting. I don't eat properly, I certainly don't drink enough water, I don't get time to train, and when I don't get time to train, I then beat myself up about it, which makes me miserable. So I think my biggest challenge has always been kind of putting myself first. I am quite a selfish person, so I don't know why I find that so hard.
I think it's kind of ingrained into us as women to a certain extent, that everything else has to come first, even though we know what we want, and then we get really frustrated because we know what we want, and we'll end up cutting out those bits of our time to and one of my theories about why we're people pleasers and why we want to say yes is because we're conditioned that way from a very small age. From when we go to school, we want to please the teacher, we want to please our parents, we want to make sure we've done a good job, you know, and so it's hard when you grow up and you're like, no, I can't live like this, actually, because it makes us miserable, doesn't it?
I think also being self-employed, it's money as well. It's like, well, if I say no, then if they go somewhere else, I'm going to lose 50 quid. And I think a lot of self-employed people struggle with that because they don't want to turn down the trade. And actually, what's more important, that 50 quid or an extra hour's sleep? And probably your sleep, so that your mind is fresh for the people you're going to do, and you do an even better job and you get better reviews and you can go on and take over the world. But there's no point in running ourselves ragged and burning the midnight oil.
I mean, it's one of the things that I always talk when I teach people about the planning, and I'm like, right now, the first thing is we go through and we block out the time for sleeping, we block out the time for eating, we block out some time to move, and then everything else needs to squish in. And if you haven't got time, you haven't got time. And if you can't do it, maybe you put your prices up. And actually, there's something quite liberating when you get to that point when you actually say to people, no, I don't need that job. It's so important to me. Actually, it makes you even more desirable in some cases, doesn't it? Because they're like, oh, okay, I'll wait.
I think that is the case, to be honest. And especially with the thing of pushing prices up, which I am not very good at all. I was meant to put them up in April, and then COVID happened, and I'm very aware that a lot of people are on limited income at the moment, so my price increase has now been delayed until July, because I'm feeling the strain, but so is everybody else, so let's not that's just my own personal.
There's a lot of stuff to do with belief and mindset and all sorts that goes into that as well, isn't it? And we've got to know that is it genuinely worth that? Will people pay that? And if you've got any part of you that goes, people aren't going to pay that you can't offer it and sell it at that price, because they pick up on that vibe, don't they? So
completely. And I don't think I've ever put my prices up since I started. I think I put them up once since I qualified, and was qualified as horses 2010. So like that, I mean, that's a long time not to have a price increase. And it was actually a relatively new client of mine, and I treat her and her horses, who basically, if she could have done, would have taken me by my shoulders and shaken me like a ragdoll, and was like, you are ridiculous, you do not charge enough, you need to charge more, people will respect you more, respect what you say more, and you will not lose clients, and if you do, more for them. And I was like, oh God, you barely know me and you think I should put my prices up.
It's really hard to do. And like one of the things that I've done with some of my coaching clients, actually, Money Mindset is coming up in the nail area very soon. I'm working on it at the moment. But like one of the ones, like what I said to when we first started working together, and I was like, no, you put the price up, because she's like, I don't want more. I'm quite happy where I'm at financially, but I can't. And I was like, well, prices go up because then you can do less orders. And she's like, oh, people will stop paying. So we'll try it. What have you got to lose? And then we introduced an extra fee if they want it quicker. And she's like, oh, brilliant. Like, actually, it's done me better because I've got more money coming in. I don't need to do so many orders, but I can take more. And the people were willing to pay for the extra as well. So it might be, it's a lot of things. And it's about building the value, isn't it? And believing in ourselves. Comes back to when we began, like with the A-levels and having teachers that believe in us. Belief makes such a massive difference, doesn't it?
It really does. And I really struggled with it for, well, I'm only really getting my head around it now. And I think actually the response I've had since lockdown, the amount of people who've wanted me, I mean, like I said before, this my area of work is saturated with sports massage therapists, chiropractors, other osteopaths, physiotherapists, Rittles churning out God knows how many a year, so's more tomorrow. Like, they are everywhere. But I have been non-stop since lockdown was lifted, and that it's like, wow, must be doing something right. And there are return customers that have been with me for years. There are new customers who've been recommended. So anyone who is, you know, doubting themselves, but you're currently busy, you should really take pride in that and like have a bit more self-belief.
And take that as evidence and remind yourself every day that actually, what you do is valuable. And it's because again, once you start believing that you've got that value, you can then start charging the value as well, and that will make a big difference to everybody's business. So where can people find out more about like you and For the Good of the Horse if they want to, Susannah?
Social media, Facebook and Instagram. I have yet to, well, I don't know if I'll ever go into TikTok. It scares the living daylights out of me. But good old Facebook and Instagram. I tend to go live at least twice a week on my Facebook. That's probably the best way you'll get to know what I'm like, because I can be silly, goofy, serious, and you get to see lots of my personality. And For the Good of the Horse, I will be trying to go live at least once a week, and we will be doing some more networking stuff. We're hoping to move off into Norfolk a little bit as well, because we've had some interest from Norfolk people, so we'll be setting up a few Norfolk-based Zoom lives for people, and hopefully when lockdown's over, a few proper meetups as well. But they are literally For the Good Horses at _the_. You see where I'm going here, on Instagram, and I am SJMS Osteopathy on Instagram and on Facebook.
And of course, when this podcast, or if you watch it on the video, when it goes out, I'll make sure I put all the links in if anybody wants to check out Susannah. So what would your advice be to somebody else that's starting out in the business? What would your tips be for them? Like, have you got a few tips?
So in my field of work, the first thing would be is to find your niche, because there are loads of us. I've got a couple of niches. I'm very lucky that I work with both horse and rider. I've also got my taping. I do some biomechanical assessments as well. And I think that's really important. What is your selling point? I'm sure there's a special phrase for that in marketing.
Yeah.
That's the one. Yeah, find that, and if you don't think you have one, you need to go and find one, because there's a lot of competition out there. The second thing would be get to know your competition, because there are definitely people out there who offer more things than I do, and I offer more things than others. And you know, it's not necessarily more or less, actually, that was the wrong word, but we offer different things, and learn to work together to recommend each other and become a good, you know, group of people, or multidisciplinary approach would be my next thing. So join For the Good of the Horse, and then that way you can meet all of your lovely professionals that are working in the same area as you. And I think the third thing, so I thought about this earlier because you mentioned this might be a question, is don't do too much at once. Like, focus on one thing. I've mentioned a few of the plates that I try and juggle, and it is damn hard, and I've been doing that for 10 years and I'm finally getting a grip on it. Like, don't go mad, stick to one thing. I'm juggling horses, people, rock tape, pre and postnatal coaching, and a wellness group, and I'm good, I can deal with that, that's fine. But that's taken years of practice and organisation would be my fourth thing. Organise yourself. But just start off with one thing and get good at that, as in get good at running that side of your business, before you then decide to pick up a whole restaurant worth of plates and juggle them above your head, because it's really hard and very easy to become very overwhelmed and to feel like you're failing.
Yeah, totally. I totally agree with that, because we do, don't we? We feel like, oh, I've got to be doing everything, and you're looking at other people, you're like, oh, they're all doing this, and you forget that actually they've been on a journey to get there. You just start where you need to start, and build it up gradually. And that's kind of where I come in, because that's where I help people to get a bit more focus on, no, don't do that. And actually it's quite, you can see almost sort of the overwhelm when I speak to people. I'm like, no, that's a really good idea, but no, that's not where we should focus now. You need to do this one thing, and they're like, what? Because and it's like, once we've got that, then we can add this next brick, and we can add the next brick. Then, because it's so important, especially not to get overwhelmed in business, because we can do it so easily. Yeah. So thank you so much, Susannah. I'm really grateful that you come on for being a guest today. And so if anybody's got any questions for Susannah, I will leave all the links in the post below so you can get in touch with Susannah. And is there anything else that you'd like to share?
I think the last thing I will say, and I've already said it once, is it's not a failure if you learn from it. Don't beat yourself up. Don't give yourself a hard time. Like we hard is life enough as it is without ourselves telling ourselves we're crap. Don't do it. Like, don't talk to yourself like you would talk to your friends. Don't treat yourself like an enemy, and learn from the failures. I'm not going to call them that anymore.
In NLP, we often say there is no such thing as failure. It's feedback. It's just feedback. and it's like, how do you use that to move forward? And sometimes reframing into that does, because once we feel that we're failures, it stops our progress. So thank you.
Also remember, from most people's failures, amazing things are born. So even if life seems like it's too much for you, something really good will come from it.